Hello out there, everybody. Welcome to the wrap-up. It's week 5 of the high school football season, and Matt, it's a week where we see a lot of big schools getting ready for district play, especially in the 4A part of the world where everybody knows 3-4A starts next week, and man, is it going to be fun. There's a lot of teams that chose to take the bye and get ready in that sense, but you know, we still do have some teams in action. And not speaking of 4A, in 5A, we have a great one, Tascosa and Permian.
Yeah, Odessa is a very storied program. Tascosa, a little bit of history there. Plunk used to coach with Gary Gaines at Abilene, so some old friends facing off with each other. And what do we hear? 1968.
That's what we're going to go with. Our man Lance Launert tweeted that. Now, don't quote him or me on that because I saw that out of the corner of my eye. It's been a long time since Tascosa's beat the Mojo, and we'll have to see if they can do it tonight. Tascosa winless on the season, more importantly 0-2 in the district after a tough loss in their last district game. They had a week off. Head coach Kim Plunk tells us they're healthier than they have been. He feels like the offense is starting to pick up with some of that extra practice time. Let's go out to Dick Bibb and see if it would work tonight against Mojo. Odessa Permian, the Panthers in town. First quarter, no score. Jack Wilkins is going to fumble it. Travis Lawler has made so many defensive plays for the Rebels. Making another one there leads to a field goal, 3-0 after the recovered fumble. Ensuing drive, Austin Beasley gets a piece of the punt. Bo Gray catches it. Sets up Tascosa for some nice field position. It's 4th and 2. Tucker Davidson, they go for it. Coach Blunt getting risky, why not? Peyton Brooks down the sideline, the other quarterback, making a big catch. It's first down on the 2-yard line. Next play, Davidson just getting it out to Brooks, and Brooks can't handle it. It gets kicked into the end zone. There's a pile. Khalil Porter recovers. It's a touchdown, Tascosa, 10-0 at that point, but then it fell apart a little bit, and in the fourth quarter, Permian gets the lead and gets the win, 20-17 over the Rebels. Not good for Tascosa as they stay winless in district play. And to find out just what happened at the end of that game, we had a man on the scene. Our man, as always, Phil Woodall from the Texas Panhandle Sports Network, was there. He had the call on the radio. And Phil, winless again, what in the world happened? I think we just lost Phil, actually, I'm being told. So we'll see if we can come back and see what happened at the end of that game in just a little bit as we come back, Matt, and talk a little District 3-4A. And it's going to be a bit interesting because we don't have a lot of teams in action. We had Paladuro in action. We had Canyon in action, and that's it for our 3-4A teams. The Dons, tough loss last week. They got to go to Borger, tough place. I can tell you they got down 19-0 in this game before we're going to pick up our highlights, so it's going to be very interesting to see if the Dons can come back. Let's do that now. Borger, again, out to a 19-0 lead over the Dons when we get there, but we get it in the third. Now 19-7. And Malik Sims, season opening, takes it 45 yards up the middle for a touchdown. 19-14. Dons coming back, but Bulldogs trying to keep the Dons off the field. You know what you do in that situation? You hand it to Dontre Butler. He's been a bright spot for the winless Bulldogs. And again, we got to say it, the Bulldogs have played such a tough schedule so far this year. He takes the handoff, 8-yard gain. Bulldogs, Joseph Taylor. The Dons get it. Joseph Taylor, carry for a first down for the Dons. D. Taylor now, up the middle. Catches a pass for a short gain, and Paladuro completes the comeback and gets the win over Borger. 20-19, your final there. The Dons with a win over the Bulldogs. Now let's get to that phoner as we backtrack for just a second and go to Phil Woodall. Phil, Tascosa had them right where they wanted them. What happened at the end of that game?
Well, it was 17-14 at the half, Jacob, but coming out in the second half, Permian used great ball control and primarily behind the running of Jorion Wilson. He had like 34 carries for close to 200 yards, 3 catches for 68 yards. They gained 350 total yards, and he gained about 265 of them. So it was a case of ball control in the second half. Both teams playing very tough, but credit to Tascosa. They gave up two 26-yard field goals to Christian Anchado from Permian. Now, that was the difference in the ball game as Permian wins it 20-17. It's a very tough loss for them. Tucker Davidson is a great. We have two left-handed quarterbacks in this one. Tucker Davidson and also Jack Wilkins, whose grandfather is the legendary John Wilkins, who used to coach Permian several years ago. So it was a great ball game, but Jorion Wilson was the story of this ball game. That young man could flat run the ball.
All right, Phil, one more question for you here before we let you go. Tascosa, as we look on the bright side, glass half full, it sure seemed like the offense is picking it up at least a little bit now as we get through the middle of the season.
They are. They're starting to learn that option offense a little bit better and better. Now, the only problem I see with it, they don't have a hurry-up offense late in the ball game when they need to pass the ball. So late in the ball game, they had some problems when they ran out of timeouts. They were still running the ball. Tucker Davidson taking the ball under center. So they're going to have to figure out a way to get a good hurry-up offense to try to come from behind to get a victory. But you know, are they getting better? Yeah, indeed they are. And they've got a tough road game next week at San Angelo Central. That drive is always hard to do. And also, Central is one of those middle-of-the-pack teams in the district. So we'll just have to see what they'll do. But they are getting better.
All right, let's jump into the rest of 4A. Thanks again, Phil, as always. Monahans. They would fumble, then Canyon would get it. Nice pickup by number 45, then Blake Weaver. Oh, there's your fumble, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't know what that was. A mystery first play. That one got me earlier.
Big pickup by 45, though. Canyon recovers. Blake Weaver then takes it to the 1-yard line. Weaver's been so good this year. Moving receiver to quarterback. A good transition for the junior. Another good year ahead of him. Then a field goal by Canyon. Canyon with your victory in this one. The 10-point win, 24-14. Jacob, District 3 4A is about to get real interesting real quick. We've got big games next week all across the board. Let's not forget Canyon and Randall. Canyon putting the seal on that one to start the season undefeated, and they're going to take on an undefeated Randall Raider team. Could we have imagined it going any better up to this point? And did anyone expect Canyon to be undefeated to this point? You know, or even give them the credit to be undefeated to this point? We
could have, because we don't just have that game. We saw the Paladero Dons come back and get a huge win, 20-19 over Borger, setting up their game with Amarillo High to open up that district. This thing, I mean, it's perfect.
And then we've got the high-flying offenses between Dumas and Caprock. Let's not forget about that game.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun in the first week of that district. We can't wait for it. But let's move on here now, Matt. We're going to jump some teams and go down to 1A because our game of the week this week was between Quanah and Wellington. That's where we see a 4-1 Indian team head in and try and knock off the Power, maybe the most dominant team so far in our area, the Wellington Skyrockets, who by most accounts are a top 5 team in the state of Texas, maybe all the way at the top. Let's see what the fans thought of this game, and Wellington, 90%. Not surprisingly, getting the nod over the Indians in the poll. Let's see what happened on the field.
Of the week, brought to you by Popular True Value.
Let's not forget Quanah 4-1 as well, a good football team. But first quarter 6-2, Wellington. Quanah's Craig Miles trying to get something going, but he puts it on the turf, and Marcos Garcia recovers for Wellington. Not good when you give the Skyrockets the football because they can hand it to this guy, Terry Gilbert. He's been so good all year, wearing a great number 13, getting around the right side, fighting to finish that run. And then why not hand it to him again? Let him finish off his own drive. He puts it in the end zone, 2-point try, good. 14-2, Skyrockets in flight. Then Quanah kickoff, Brandon Hurd. He would fumble, recovered by Johnny Davis for Wellington. And Jacob, you know, we all get faked out every once in a while. I don't know if he's still here in the building, but our photographer, Ruben Flores, he told me not to call him out. But naturally, you got to.
Yeah, you have to do it. Where's that ball?
There it is.
It's in the end zone.
Brady Montgomery with the touchdown catch. 22-2 Wellington at that point. They would go on to roll. Final.
And how big are those 2 turnovers when you see that final score? Could have been the difference in the game. But that Wellington defense made the plays. You got to give them credit.
44-26, your final score. Jacob, Wellington continues to look like a team that you don't want to mess with.
No, they'll make a run. They will. And I think that Quanah, even out of that, Quanah proved a ton tonight to be right there in that game, a couple turnovers away maybe from being very much in that game. So good job by the Indians. I know it's been 2 losses in a row, but they've been quality. and I think that they'll be ready to go come district play time. Let's take our first break. We'll come back, and we'll get some of these other 3A and 2A teams, the few 2A teams that actually played this week, that is, when we return on the wrap-up on News Channel 10.